smoking pot. I got my dick out, and I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about you. I'm smoking pot. I got my dick out, and I'm thinking about you, just you.
I'm smoking pot. Got my dick out, and I'm thinking about you. Thinking about you.
I'm driving along, I'm singing a song, and I got my dick out, and I'm thinking about you, I drank a six-pack, I took my pants off, oh, I love you, I love you,
I'm smoking pot.
Look at that. Look at that. Hey guys, how silly is that? I feel like a little kid right now. Hey, it's 8:00 hour and it is August 25th. And I am so elated to be here with the Jackie the Joke Man today, because today's joke's about golf and being teed off. We hope you guys are enjoying the summer, because I certainly am, and this is going to be a lot of fun. Actually, look, I'm getting some color. I'm getting red. I've been sitting in the sun and driving around, having a good time. So with that away, tonight's show, golf jokes, teed off. Let's bring on the man of the hour, the one and only, the wonderful Jackie the Joke Man Martling. Where is he with his long beard?
I thought that maybe my brain froze because I looked at you and the wave is caught standing still behind you. And then I realized it's a photo. It's a fake. You're a fake.
Like everything. It's like this hair and teeth and penis. It's all fake.
And me too, and all the above. You know, I actually played. I didn't have any idea I was going to be, and I actually played golf yesterday for the first time in like a year and a half, and here we are doing golf jokes, and and I was bad enough that I can joke about it,
How well are you at golf? Are you good at this golf?
No. You do a thing called scramble, so you keep playing the best hit that anybody has. So it's like five people. I hit whoever hits the best shot, then you play from there. Then whoever hits the best shot, you play from there. So. And, I sunk a couple of really, really long putts and hit a couple of decent, never hit a really decent drive, but some good chip shots and stuff. So you contribute to the crowd. But it was at West Point, which is so beautiful. It's a public course, but it's so gorgeous. All the cadets play there and everything. And the guy that threw the thing is a brigadier general. And the golf course has... sometimes you go upstate and it says George Washington slept here, and there's like a thing, like 3 paragraphs that explain. On every tee, there's a different explanation, from the Revolutionary War to the Civil War to the Mexican-American, and there's 18 wars, so it just keeps going and going, And I played all right, and we had a lot of fun, and they're all big fans and good people, so that was... my crazy friend Sid Mandelbaum, who's great, who leads me to. First, we got to do some golf jokes.
Absolutely. And by the way,
my favorite is not a good one because it's tipped off. But it's such a good joke. It doesn't matter. A couple goes to a marriage counselor, and the wife says, "I'm just not enjoying my marriage." So the marriage counselor stands her up and takes off her clothes and puts her on the ground and fucks her.
Okay.
And he turns to the husband and says, "She needs that 3 times a week. Can you make it happen?" He says, "Well, I can bring them Monday and Wednesday, but Friday I play golf. Which is a great joke, but if you know it's going to be a golf joke, it's not so hot,
I like it, and I do kind of remember a similar type joke, but I like it a lot. You know what I noticed? I've been, I don't know, you two has done this. I've done a million golf outings over my life doing dick jokes and comedy. I mean, they hire lots of comics, and I've never golfed. I've gone to these receptions where they have these grandiose receptions. They're drinking booze, eating shrimps. There's people walking around, hot girls.
And you don't play just for fun?
I'm an idiot. I can't do it. It's not for me. I can't hit a ball like that. It's not, I'm telling you, I've never played. One time I did this thing where it's called Beat the Schmuck. They used to call it Beat the Comic. You did this?
No, but what, they give you a club and you got to try and do better than the other guy?
No, they come to a certain hole, right? And when they come to the hole, there's this they have two hot girls. These girls wearing these sneakers and tight, little I don't know, basketball shorts and stuff. And these girls are sitting there and they could pay $20 to me and get a bunch of long string of raffle tickets, or they can pay $30 to the girls. And if we hit the ball and we go further or better than them, they get the arm of tickets. And if they don't, the money always goes to the house either way. So it was Beat the Comic, Beat the Schmuck, and it's me or the girls. And I don't know if I forget it was me. I'm getting $20, and maybe they're getting $40. But the girls were kicking my ass. These girls who don't know how to play golf are up there.
In other words, they can putt against you or against one of the girls?
That's right.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, $20, you get raffle tickets or you get a blowjob. I'm like, that doesn't seem like much of a contest,
But I was terrible. But I've never really played. And when I started seeing these girls who never hit a ball before doing better than I did, it was really embarrassing. And so when people come over, I'd say, listen, give the $20 to this guy. You're going to win. I'll hit my ball. You're going to win. They always would win because I don't know how to play golf.
You just made me, I wouldn't have even thought about this story. I play a lot of these things. And there's a couple of jokes I always tell because they're very funny. And there's one joke I specifically tell, and often in the beginning of the game, and then you wind up using the punchline a real lot. And I'm sure you know the American businessman goes to Japan, and the Japanese guys send him upstairs with a hooker. Right. And he's banging her. As he's banging her, she's going, "Oh, Nashigayana! Nashigayana!" And he thinks, wow, she's really getting into this, right? So he's hitting harder and harder, banging her harder. She's going, "Oh, Nashigayana! Nashigayana!" And then the next day, he's playing golf with the Japanese guys, and he slices the ball way off to the left. And one of the Japanese guys goes, "Oh, Nashigayana!" And the guy says, "What's that mean?" He says, "Wrong hole," which is so great. So I'm playing with these guys at Carol Baldwin's outing, and then every time somebody hits a bad shot, somebody's going Nashigayana, Nashigayana. Yeah. And at some point we came to a hole where there's a couple of girls, and there was this really pretty girl named Chrissy. I said, "Listen, they don't need you sitting here looking for a hole in one. Nobody's gonna get in the cart and come have some fun." She's got in the cart, so we're going along for a couple holes, and somebody hits a bad shot. "Oh, Nashigayana! Oh, Nashigayana!" And all of a sudden I realized, I said, "Christy, I got to explain to you why we keep saying that." And I told her the joke, and she laughed. She said, she was from Dallas. She said, "Oh, I'm glad you told me the joke, Jack, because I thought Nashigayana, I thought that was one of them Yiddish expressions." That was really great.
It's funny though. You must be a pisser on the golf course because I could just imagine all the jokes going all day long. That thing. How many jokes did you tell that all those holes?
But I really do take it easy unless somebody tells one or tries to tell one, and I'll tell them when it's related to it. And sometimes I'll think of something I really want to tell them, but I save it to like last night. I did 10 minutes, but I want the guys I played with to be entertained, and I want them to be because of course if I'm on the course, I'm going to tell them my best jokes, my best golf jokes, and then I'm going to go up and tell them, and they're going to be sitting there I heard that 10 minutes ago, man. You know
how many golf jokes there are? There was
God. My favorite. I killed these guys last night. The golfer comes into the locker room and his face is all cut up and bloody, and the golf pro says, "What happened to you?" And he says, "I just blew an eagle." Now, do you know enough about golf to understand that joke?
A little bit. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Par is when you get what you're supposed to get on the hole. If you're a good golfer and it's a par 4, you get a 4. If you get 1 under par, it's called a birdie. And if you get 2 under par, it's an eagle, which is a big deal. So if you have an incredible drive on a par 4 and you chip the ball in from 100 yards out, and you get a 2 on a par 4, that's an eagle, and it's a big deal. But sometimes a par 5, and you get all the way up to where you're like 3 feet away to get the 3 on the par 5, and you miss it, and people go crazy, and so that's blowing an eagle, which is just so stupid, so fun. I'm not even a good enough golfer. I shouldn't even know what an eagle is, But
you bet. Look, you got a lot more of it than mine did. I'm sure you must be a pisser on the golf course. That's all.
We have fun. We have fun.
Got to be great on the golf, and I love golf outings too. Speaking of which, I see if I stop you on this. You ready? What does a necrophilia and a mini golf have in common?
A necrophilia and a
mini golf have in common.
Mini golf. Miniature golf.
Yeah, miniature golf. It's nonsensical, so it's weird. Necrophilia and mini golf have in common. They both have 18 holes. 18 holes.
Oh, God.
I know it's a little hard to pull. I know it's off beat, right?
18 holes. Is that how many holes are on a person's body?
That's how many you can make when you're a necrophiliac.
Gee. Oh, God, John. Oh.
You know what that deserves? The stoic Charlie Fisher.
Oh, God.
Every
time I hear of necrophilia, all I can think of is the end of that Sam Kinison album where he says, I'm going to be dead and I'm going to be lying on the slab in the morgue and the guy's going to be fucking me in my ass. It never ends. It never ends. And then he trails off into the reverb. It never ends. It never ends.
I was thinking too.
Charlie was very short-lived. Hi, Charlie.
No, he's Charlie there. We could bring him in. He's looking good, Charlie. You looking good. He's sitting on that same couch.
Nah, he might as well have been the same picture as last week,
I love him. He looks good. Charlie looks like he got a haircut. This COVID's doing well by him.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Look at that gray hair. Holy shit. He's aging out down in Atlanta.
He's looking younger and younger. I thought of a joke today. I don't know if this ever happens to you. Sometimes all of a sudden a joke will come to me and I say, you know what? That's a joke for my act. And I don't think I've done it in a couple of years. Like sometimes they slip through the cracks. Like, sometimes I don't work for 2 weeks. So I do a show, and if I forget to do the joke, and then the next time, I'm sure you heard it a million times, but it's just such a great joke where a FedEx guy knocks on the door, and the door opens, the kid's standing there, little kid wearing nothing but his underpants, and he's smoking a joint. In the other hand, he's got a half-full bottle of Jack Daniels, and the FedEx guy says, "Kid, is your mother home?" He says, "What do you think?" Which is just such a great attitude joke.
I do remember
there's some places where I do that, and then I have to go, that's the whole joke.
Here's what I've noticed. I noticed that when you're 20 years old, you play football, right? When you're 40 years old, usually you play tennis. But when you hit your 50s, what do? You play golf. And you have to notice, as the older that you get, your balls get smaller and you spend more time on the floor.
Very true. And they drag. The guy I played with yesterday said he's a Jets fan. And he says, when we go to tailgate, we used to drop acid, and now we drop antacid.
I like it. I never heard that. Now, Jackie, one of the classic jokes of golf was a guy gets home from playing his 18, and he walks in his house and slaps his wife right across the face. His wife goes, "What are you doing that for?" He goes, "I've been hitting fat all day."
You know what? The first time I heard that, I had to tell my friend, I don't know what that means. I really didn't. I guess it means you hit the ground in front of the ball or something. And now I've heard that joke so many times, but when I first heard it, it's embarrassing to say, I don't know who Joe DiMaggio is. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I'm with you. I got people popping in golf jokes here. You would be good at golfing. You've been holding wood for years. Yeah, I've been holding wood for you. Thank you very much. Hi, Jackie. Do you remember Doug Beatty? Why did Jerry have so many kids?
Doug Beatty was Oh, Doug Beatty was the guy that Jerry Lewis used to push around on the stage. The guy, and Sam Kinison befriended that guy and used to put him on stage. And the guy used to say he'd wheel him out, and the first thing Doug Beatty would say is "Fuck Jerry Lewis." I think I've got the right guy. It's funny. That's the first name popped in my head.
What does a hemophiliac and a virgin have in common? One prick, and it's all over. It's a good joke. It's a good joke.
You know what? The cop pulls a guy over and says, "All right, man, I'm going to give you a breathalyzer test." And the guy says, "You can't do that." The cop says, "What do you mean you can't? I can't do that." He says, "I got asthma. You give me a breathalyzer test, I'll have a horrible coughing spell and I'll puke all over myself. It'll be a mess."
Huh?
He says, "Well, then I'm going to have to give you a blood test." He says, "You can't do that. I'm a hemophiliac, and if you give me a blood test, I'm going to spurt blood and I'm going to bleed all over the place."
Right?
And the cop says, "Well, then you got to get out of the car and walk a straight line." And the guy says, "I can't do that." And the cop says, "Why?" He says, "Because I'm fucking drunk, you moron." That's a great joke.
I got a guy coming in who wants to tell a joke. This is Bob, the bane of, let's see, let me bring him in here. Come on in, Bob, the bane. Welcome. He's muted. You have to unmute your mic, Bobby. Unmute your mic. You're muting yourself, I believe.
Bob the Bane. That means they don't like him wherever he's from, but meanwhile, it doesn't fit on the screen, so we got to figure they just don't like him anywhere.
He's got a nice big headset on. He can hear himself, but we can't hear him. Right now, it says he's muted, but not by me. I can't unmute you because you've chosen to mute themselves. You want to try it again, Bobby? I'm not hearing you. You're close.
There's a place on your screen, Bob, that says there's a little microphone somewhere. You got to touch it.
Touch it like you owes it money to you. How about this one? Thanks to COVID-19 making golf courses to close, I now resort to watching porn so I can yell, "Get in the hole! Get in the hole!"
That's cute.
It's cute. I was thinking about golf jokes today. One of the other classic ones, and it's the one with the going to the how to hold the stick. Classic golf joke.
Hold the club like you hold your husband's organ.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
Now take the club out of your mouth, put it in your hands, we'll go for distance.
That's the one. That's the one.
You know that the lady goes golfing and gets hit in the ass really hard with a golf ball, and she goes to the doctor and he says, "Where were you hit?" And she says, "Between the first and the second hole." And he says, "Well, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the Band-Aid."
Oh, wow. I thought you were going a whole different direction with that.
I didn't even think to tell that joke yesterday. They all come back to you,
So what's going on, Bob Crane? You coming in there? Bob, let's see. You're still muted. We can't hear you at all. Maybe sometimes you come back in and come out, but I think you got something clicked on not allowing you.
It's something on the screen. Look on the upper left, Bob. It's really small. I know,
Any guy's got a headset like that, I think he knows what he's doing. I'll pop you out of here. Come back in, see what happens. We just dropped him out there. And there's a stoic Charlie Fisher. Hey, there's another one from Brian K. Why do Jewish men watch porn movies backwards? Come on.
I love that joke, but you got to tell these guys to you know what? They know damn well what they're supposed to do. They want to tell the joke. They don't want to play the game.
Well, listen, next week, here we go. We can golf 18 holes by the time Bob figures out how to unmute himself. Thank you very much, Ryan. That's actually very funny.
We should take Las Vegas odds whether Bob's going to figure it out.
Yeah. Actually, next week I'll be taking calls, too, because a lot of times I notice people don't want to come in with their face and tell a joke. They feel a little embarrassed or whatever it may be.
I never knew if we had the ability to take calls.
Yes, we do. That's what I was working on right now, but we just came in. And next week I'm going to have an 800 number. You can just call in and tell the joke right on the air without being seen, which is keeps them kind of quiet. I kind of like the idea of that.
That's a good idea.
What do you call the part of a woman in between the vagina and the rectum?
That's the driving range.
Right, because why? Because that's where you hit it with your ball.
I hit my balls. That's the worst joke, and I just love it. I was on my first record. I played 18 holes of golf, and the only time I hit two good balls was when I stepped on a rake.
Classic. You're one of the greatest classic jokes.
I love it.
Hey, Jackie, I was looking through your file of pictures here, too. Look, check out this picture. Remember, tell me when this was. Check it out.
Why does it take Helen Keller so long to play around the golf?
Why does it take Helen Keller so long to play around golf?
She reads every ball.
Oh, that's brutally bad. And I'm
It's
the
so
bad guy.
terrible.
Okay, we got Bob back. Are you ready, Bob? Welcome back. Let's see what happens.
Let's give this a shot. Hi, John. Hi, Jackie. How y'all doing?
Now
There,
we
you
hear him.
figured it out. You figured
All
it
right.
out.
Thank you. This is not a golf joke, but this is a
Who's
joke that
talking
I've
to
been waiting to tell for like 30 years.
30 years waiting to tell his joke. I'm looking forward to hear it.
All right. Okay.
Wait a minute. Who's he listening to?
I hear him listen to the show backwards. You got to like cut the volume on listening to the show so you can tell a joke.
Yeah, there's a bit of echo here. Anyway,
It's like always the old classic
All
thing
right.
used to be lower your radio. Now it's not anymore, is it?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like it's all Guthrie playing and just waiting for it to come around on the guitar.
I didn't know he was going to take 30 years to tell us the joke. Hurry up. I need a prostate exam.
Mr. Martling, how can you tell if a lifeguard is a lesbian? All right.
She won't suck on the other lifesavers. How can you tell if a lifeguard is a lesbian?
Yes.
You know, it sounds like one of those jokes I knew and forgot. A lifeguard is a lesbian. She smells more like fish than the fish.
Nope.
I don't know. What's the reason?
Hit us, Bob.
She's giving mouth to muff resuscitation.
Okay. I never heard the
No,
joke.
not okay. Not okay.
It's not that good?
No.
I appreciate it coming in, Bob. I liked it. It's funny. I didn't know it. Never heard it. This works.
Mouth to muff resuscitation. All right, I'll give him that. You know what? Anything with muff in it is great, especially since the dwindling of the vagina hair.
Somebody says he looks like Captain
so many
Kangaroo.
jokes you can't tell anymore. You know.
Brian says horrible. I like the joke. Oh, cut it out. He has the testicles that come in here and do it, and I appreciate it. It's all good.
I have to get rid of all my jokes about, some pussy hair jokes are great where the guy's not paying attention to his wife and she's frustrated. So one day she goes into the living room and sits across from him on the couch. She's got no underwear on and she pulls up her dress and spreads her legs. And he looks over and he says, "Are you wearing any underwear?" And she says, "Nope." He says, "Thank God. I thought you were sitting on the cat."
Oh,
But they don't have airy boxes anymore. It's no good. No
It's a
good.
good
It's
joke.
gone. It's
it's
gone.
good. It's funny. It's funny. Funny's funny, and I love it. Hey, how about? I'm not trying to stump you on this, but this is another one of those kind of jokes. What's the difference between a clitoris and a golf ball?
A man will look for hours for a golf ball.
That's right, bro. Yes, I knew it was too easy for you, that one. Let me throw you that picture.
What's really slow and really hard to find?
Hit me.
A clitoris.
Tell me about this picture, Jackie. What's the scoop here? Look at this. Check this out. I don't know when this was. It's Henny.
That was the K-Rock comedy riot. Kevin James won one year, and the next year, and Jeff Sussman was there and signed him up and got him on television. And the year before that, Ray Romano won, and Roy Rosegarten was there and signed him up. And a bunch of us from the station would watch the tapes and pass people. And I'm pretty sure they were going to pass on Ray's tape. And I said, no, that guy's really funny. What are you doing? But way back then I said, you know what? I'm not sure of that. It's going to sound like I made it up. But the people I'm watching the tapes with, they're picking their nose. What do they care? It's a radio contest. But we try to have special guests, and Henny was there that night. And he was great. I had a lot of fun. He was the first guy who ever took me to lunch at the Friars Club.
Really?
Did I ever tell you that? And I got a laugh out of him. We were sitting there, and he was always with the making, bitching about the restaurant and bitching about the food and bitching about the waiter, but that was his shtick, And we're sitting there, and we had just gotten there, and he said, "What happened to our waiter?" And I said, "It's been downhill since high school." He said, "You're very funny. You're very funny." I said, "Thank you, you old Jewish bastard."
I only met him at the Friars Club when he was in a wheelchair. I had done a show at the Friars Club for some fundraiser, whatever they had going on there for the I don't forget the name of that, whatever he used to do for them. And he was in a wheelchair, and I was walking out, and he was there, and I was with his wife, I believe, somebody. And he said to me, "My friend, you have good timing." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's such a nice compliment coming from you." Because Henny to me was like one of the greatest 1-2 punchy writers ever. He's such a clever guy, and just a beautiful way he did it, But I was never fortunate enough to see him live work. I had only seen tapes and stuff.
Yeah, but it's just like seeing him live. And you look at the old Ed Sullivan or Tonight Show, and he like Rodney. He might have written half of those jokes. More likely wrote 10% of those jokes. But the point of these jokes have been around forever and ever and ever. It always sounds like I'm saying that out of sour grapes, but I'm not. The point is that the stuff is out there. You just pluck what works for you. Like any joke that's a frustrated husband joke absolutely kills for Henny. I tell people, when you're a kid, Henny Youngman's okay. He's a little bit funny. But as you get older, he gets funnier and funnier. And
True.
I told you, I've actually lived through a couple of his jokes. Like,
right.
I literally was on when I had first gotten my car phone, and somebody called me, and they said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm coming back from a pleasure trip. I just took Nancy to the airport." It was the Henny Youngman joke, but it was as real as it could be because you get a vacation from each other, So
what a shtick, though. What a shtick he had, though. If you think about it, I've watched a lot of his bits and stuff.
Flawless.
Yeah, it's great, and it was that whole idea. It's like vaudevillian, but it's shtick. It's fun. It's so funny. It's set up punch, and some of it's so clever. And he had a good beat about him. The beat was really beautifully streamed, and I think old is new because it's timeless. Because that kind of humor.
Oh, if it's funny, auto mechanic goes to the psychiatrist. Psychiatrist says, "Get under the couch." It's just so ridiculous. Just so
There was
silly.
that great mud pack one, Schwartz, and Schwartz, the one with go to the window, take off all your clothes, stick your tongue in. All that. They're just beautiful, beautiful jokes. So you don't think he wrote a lot of? You think he was only a small percentage of them, huh?
But just because, listen, there's been couples forever and ever and ever, and those couples have been frustrated forever and ever, and maybe I should give them more, give them more, like there was a guy I told you years ago that his father's claim to fame. His father claimed that he wrote that he had a hat joke. Maybe he did, but he also could have written it while somebody was writing it in Ireland. You know what I mean? That's
True.
The whole thing with jokes and concepts. And there's this book, Crack Jokes. I was actually going to send it to you so you can put it on the screen.
Crack jokes? Okay.
And this guy is, he's telling how, he was quoting somebody who was saying, "Yeah, I started researching these jokes, and I love these jokes, and I started looking into it, and I realized the same jokes are in Indian culture, out of India, and the same jokes are in Israeli culture." And he said at first it was an eye-opener, and then it was he came up with this great idea: let's put socks on children, let's put on a hat in the rain. I mean, these are just things that you stumble across, so funny,
I tell you the truth, it's something that I wish I would have been able to see him live perform, really live, but what are you going to do? Hey, Charlie just put in the text. He said the first time I told a joke in front of a crowd was at the Friars event above PJ Clark, and Jackie gave it to me. Do you remember that joke, Charlie? No, he doesn't remember the joke, but that was the first time he told a joke.
PJ Clark's right there on 8th and 9th.
No, it was upstairs on 55th Street.
Oh, 50, right. Yeah, there was a special party room up there.
Yeah, it was a cigar night. Yeah.
Cigar.
Right, Marty Holleran and all those characters.
Yep.
And you don't remember the joke, you putz? Those were fun. I think I was still drinking then. No, maybe not. Maybe I wasn't.
With all the drinking, surprised you remember the jokes. I can't believe it. Now you're clean and you're tighter.
Yeah.
Jackie, a class, couples watching TV together, right? And the man keeps switching channels back and forth between porn and then back over again to golf, back and forth. Finally, his wife says, Jesus Christ, can't you stop that, please? Just leave on the porn. You already know how to play golf. Classic joke. Let me ask you, I got another picture there real quick. This one here, what the hell? I think I asked you this before. What the hell? What?
See what it says in the background?
CBS TV.
This is the press conference announcing that the Howard Stern Show is going to have their own show at 11:30 on CBS TV on Saturday nights against Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
And I had just written a joke, and a lot of times when he did press conferences or did speeches when we're starting in Toronto today, and he does a speech to welcome himself to Toronto, you know what I mean? And I would write the speeches, and very often they were kind of foul or whatever, and they'd always get quoted. So a lot of times the articles would start with something that I wrote because it'd be a funny quote. So it was, which I loved. It's not like seeing your stuff in print. But this was if it wasn't international, it was definitely in every national paper because I forget exactly how he said it, but he said, we're on CBS TV, Robin, Channel 2, the Tiffany Network. Wait a minute. Isn't Tiffany a stripper's name? And you could see the people from CBS were like,
Yeah.
Look what we're in for, you know.
I am so sorry. I've never seen. There was also, wasn't there a Channel 9 show? Was it like a Channel 9 show too?
The Channel 2 show. The Channel 2 show was sold on the premise that it was going to be completely different than the Channel 9 show.
Ah.
No, it was supposed to be different than the E show. The Channel 9 show had been 10 years earlier, but the E show was a daily thing where it was just us, not us, but mainly him, just being in the studio, and they would videotape. And they said, look, that's not what we want for Channel 2. And he promised them it was going to be bits and guests and all kinds of stuff. But in retrospect, what had happened was him and Allison were really at war. And she didn't want him to do the show. And they were going to marriage counseling and everything. And he just did not have any time. And the Channel 2 show wound up being exactly like the E show. And I knew a lot of people from just years around, you know, that were working in different markets, and some of them were working in television. And, you know, and they say, hey, this Howard Stern show is going to be great. We really should buy it. And then it didn't suck. It's just that it wasn't any different than the E show. You know,
what's the deal with the WOR, though? I'm not really clear about that. Like, I remember there was this one show. I remember tuning in once, and there was a show where they had a fat lady, and there was a hot dog, and they were trying to, like, get the
No. What it was, we had an hour show. I always say we, which is pompous because it was Howard's show, it was not my show. But an hour show every Saturday night. And it had to be in the can, done, finished Friday night at like 11 o'clock.
Right.
Oh, no, we had to be done taping Friday night. So Howard and Dan and whoever could chop it up or do whatever they had to do to it to air on Saturday night. So we'd have a blank piece of paper on Monday and need to have an hour show in the can by Friday. And it was insane. That's where the E show came from. Because, you know, we're working 4 or 5 hours a day starting at 6 o'clock in the morning. So that's plenty, knocking yourself out. And then we're having meetings afterwards and trying to put together ideas for a show for Friday. And then the guests would find out that the public relations people had booked them on the Howard Stern show. And they're like, fuck you, I'm not going on that show. So we get canceled and everything. But it was so wild. And we were just off the charts. Me and Fred were crazy. And we did so much different stuff. What you're thinking about Do you know who Richard Simmons is?
Yes, of course.
So Richard Simmons is this crazy fruit who does exercise stuff and everything, and he would take out a project to try and help somebody. And there was this guy named Michael something that weighed 500 pounds, and he was Richard's guy, and he had lost 100 pounds.
And they would cry together.
And this was going to they cried together. And he brought him in, and he's sitting there at the desk with Robin and Howard, and we lowered an aluminum pan with an entire turkey in it, lowered it from above, and Richard Simmons goes berserk. And then we gave Howard a fishing rod, like a snapper pole, with a line hanging from it, with a bag of potato chips, and he's waving from it. It was so wrong. People were screaming. They still remember that. They still remember it. Oh my God!
That's another weird thing too. What happened? Richard Simmons disappeared. There was a whole podcast for like a year or two on him. He owned a gym in L.A. The gym just put locks on the door. He never showed up. They just closed everything, and he lived in his home and never came out for like a couple of years.
I don't know what the story is with him. I hope he's all right. He is a really decent guy, and he's all about me, fruitcake. But in his insanity, he was really trying to help people, and occasionally he would, and not occasionally, very often he would. But he did that his whole diet plan and everything. And he was so great to fuck with because he would go berserk.
I remember.
And after that movie with Sean Penn, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and Sean Penn said to the teacher, "You dick," and Fred had that on a cart, and Richard would come in, and Fred would play that cart, and Richard would go nuts, and Richard would jump over the thing and steal the cart. And then, but of course, Fred had more carts, and then Richard would get the cart, and Fred would play, "You dick!" And I hope that stuff's on tape somewhere. It might have been before the E! Show,
Wonderful. It was really, really funny. And I do remember him getting really upset, and you guys breaking his balls to no end about being gay, and he wouldn't admit anything and all that. But he really did. He disappeared. And apparently he has a guy in his house that was taking care of him. I don't know if it's his nurse or his boyfriend.
Yeah, there's some kind of,
shit.
That Channel 9 show, it really was balls to the wall. And there were only 2 shows that we did that didn't air.
Oh yeah.
One of them, Fred. We dressed up Fred, not dressed him up, but made Fred Jesus Christ, and had him actually on a cross. It was lying down. We're going to raise it up, and I don't know whether Dan freaked out or whatever it was. It was like, you know what? It didn't even get to the point where it was just like, well, we better pull the plug on that one. And I don't think that was me, because I'm not a big Jesus joke guy. But another one that didn't air, and I love this because Al Rosenberg said it was one of the funniest things I ever said. We did Handicapped Beat the Clock. Do you remember a show called Beat the Clock?
Of course, Jack Nars.
Well, and before that, it was Bud Collier.
I met Jack Nars, by the way. I was on Beat the Clock as a kid in the 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about back in the 50s. It was Bud Collier, and I'll tell you why it was so funny. But it was Handicap Beat the Clock, and it was a guy in a wheelchair,
right,
competing against a guy with one leg.
Oh.
And the guy with one leg was such a pain in the ass, and I feel bad the guy had one leg, but he was such a piece of shit. And he had everybody so upset and pissed off. And Al Rosenberg said that I came over to him and said, that guy didn't lose his leg. It ran away. Which is great. Meanwhile, that guy surfaced again, because when Gary played Howard at the Nassau Coliseum, they played tennis at the U.S. Open Source. And the guy with one leg was the ball boy who was hopping around getting the ball. So never miss a trick to do the wrong thing,
It's great, though. That's what makes it great. And
it's just so great.
What's funny too is
Ah.
I think about that guy with the thing you were telling me earlier with the guy with laying the potato chips and blowing it. I think that's like the most hilarious thing in the world because it's the irony. It's such strong irony. It's just a beautiful thing.
I might be crazy, but I think there's a chance that Howard's mother was on that show and was sitting at the desk. But I might be confusing my visions. But it was, so many crazy things happened on that show. We had Siamese twins booked, and somebody had said they saw these Siamese twins and they would be so great. And it turned out there were 2 sets of Siamese twins. And we got the wrong set of Siamese twins. Like there was a set that were like connected at the hip, but they both had like personalities and shit. And the ones we got were connected right here on their forehead, facing each other. And it was so beyond sad, but it was just crazy. And what happened at the last minute is we canceled them, and for some reason, some girl that was there as a judge or something, it turned out she was a lesbian, and nobody knew it. And so we played out. Oh, it was I've Got a Secret, and we had one of the actual panelists. I don't know who are the panelists. Charlie, who are the panelists for I've Got a Secret?
Gotta wake Charlie up.
We either had Arlene Dahl or Dorothy Kilgallen. One of them, we had the real person. And it was going to be a blindfolded thing. And their secret was they were Siamese twins. And it was just too sad. And so this girl came on and said, I'm a lesbian and my parents don't know it or something like that.
Do you have any regrets, though? Do you have any regrets about things that you did or said back then? Do you have any?
No, because you know what? It was never on me.
Right.
We had the classic thing where Howard would be like, "Don't look at me, he wrote it," and I'd be like, "Don't look at me, he said it," And he had full control. He didn't say anything he didn't want to say, and he did not say anything he wanted to say. So it never was my call. A million years in the very beginning, he said, "Write whatever you want, and I'll do the editing."
My friend was just saying that. Did you ever see the first episode of Whose Line with Simmons as the guest?
Whose Line?
Yeah, no, you never did. Hey,
that's not our show. That's somebody else's.
Yeah, of course.
No, I didn't. I never watched TV. I didn't even watch our TV.
By the way, that's good. I don't know if this is good or bad, but Daniel Miller, the guy from Canada that has the urinal in his own home, is here to tell a joke. So I'll bring him up into the air here.
And that with the black urinal?
Yeah, I think it's a white. You're not. He's shake. I'm looking him down you don't have a joke to tell, Daniel. I see him smoking pot. I mean, I'll bring him up real quick. Let's see if he's got the joke. There you go. This guy.
I posted my 2 jokes.
You don't have any jokes?
I posted them in the comments.
Oh, in the comments.
What did you bring me in for?
Tell it. It's okay. Tell it.
Yeah, golf. I regard golf as an expensive way of playing marbles. Think about it.
John, this is your idea.
Okay.
This is time out of our lives that we can never recapture. Jesus Christ!
This guy kills me. He's really a nice guy, and he's up in the middle of nowhere, and apparently he's living his life in his social media bubble. This is like amazing. He's always on all these shows. It's great. He's apparently he must be retired, getting a check from somebody from somewhere.
Oh, I don't know if he's retarded. Maybe just a little slow.
I retired, but
hey, Charlie, do you play golf?
No.
There you go.
Because the guy is playing golf and he hits a bad shot, and then he hits another bad shot, and every tee hits another bad shot, and he finally turns to the caddy and says, "You see the problem?" And the caddy says, "Yeah, of course I see the problem." What's the problem? He says, "There's a piece of shit at the end of the club." So he takes the head of the club and starts wiping it off, and the caddy says, "No, the other end."
Jack, you ever hear someone? A cop sees an old woman carrying 2 large sacks, and the cop says to the woman, "Hey, where did you get, where does an old lady like that, with the sacks? And this sack is leaking like $20 bills. He goes, lady, where'd you get all that money? And she goes, well, there's a golf course behind my house, and the golfers need to go to the bathroom. They stick their peas through the hole in my fence and pee in my yard. And, that's how I got the money. He goes, so what do you do about it? She goes, well, I get my big hedge clippers out and I wait behind the fence. When a golfer sticks his penis through the fence, I grab a hold of it and I say, give me $20 or it comes off clean. The cop goes, that's fair enough, but what's the other sack? She goes, oh, not everyone pays.
Not everybody. That's so good. That's so good.
Of course you know that joke. Yeah.
It's good, but it's so great.
Cute joke. Hey, I got another quick picture here.
The little girl pulls up a dress and she just started her first period.
Okay.
She says, Johnny, look at this. And he goes, fuck, somebody cut your cock off.
and you have nothing to be embarrassed about. You see that?
Nothing to be, hey,
It's all good. It's all good. Hey, just another quick picture right here, real quick. I pulled up here today. I don't know what the hell is that. That says LMHF.
Do you know who that is?
No, I have no idea. It looks like Wolfman Jack. I have no idea.
That is Felix Cavalieri, my good friend from the Young Rascals.
Ah.
And the night I met him, we were doing the Hippie Fest at the Newark Theater. It was like Mitch Ryder, Felix and the Rascals, Leslie West, Melanie, the Zombies. Toby booked about 12 acts. It was the most unbelievable show. And I went out and I was introducing the bands, but then every 3 or 4 bands, I'd actually do some jokes. And he said he actually had to wait to come out because he was still laughing that hard. And I said, well, you got a friend for life now, pal. Such a nice guy. God, he was such a fucking hero of mine. I turned all Michigan State onto the my dorm. It was funny because you got to be old enough to remember. It happened to a couple bands where they had a big hit, but nobody knew who they were. Like the guys that did "Do You Love Me? Do You Love Me? Do You Love Me?" The Contours, that was their first hit, but it wasn't. They had a couple big hits that were local hits in Detroit. Well, the Rascals had a monster hit called "I Ain't Gonna Eat My Heart Out Anymore," which was just so haunting and wonderful and terrific. But nobody outside of the tri-state area ever heard it. But so I had their album. I went out and said, you got to hear these guys. Everybody's going wild. And then all of a sudden, a couple months later, Good Lovin' was everywhere. And it was cool. It's like, I told you about my boys, I got
another one here, too. Check this out. What's this all about here? Whoa, there's you and Gilbert somewhere.
That's me and Gilbert. It was me, Gilbert, Bobby Flay, Randy from the Village Idiots, the Village People, and not Bobby Flay, some Italian guy who was huge. It was the same as Bobby Flay at that point. Reggie, Ronnie.
Was he redhead, the fat guy? There's a cook too.
No. It was a good-looking Italian guy. There was I think 8 celebrities, B celebrities. And we waited tables and served the food at the Palm for all
you
night.
did, really? Wow.
And all the food, all the money went to charity. It was really great. It was funny because Randy from the Village People, great guy, so much fun. He's still a good friend, but raging fag, which you can't say anymore. The button popped off of his pants. And my sister got a needle and thread and sewed the button back on his pants with his pants on him in the kitchen. So she's kneeling down in front of this guy, and it's like, what a waste of a perfect opportunity because he was it was so hysterical. But we had fun. That was, man, well, look how young we were. It was like...
yeah, you guys look young. Yeah.
Probably 2000... I was probably off the show. Yeah, 2002, 2004, somewhere around that.
You're starting to get this Peter Gabriel look going on over there.
It's got to come off. I got to do a few more scenes for my documentary, and Ian thinks I should have
clean cut.
We should have continuity. I said, why can't I just sit around and reflect on what we did and what we didn't do?
Tell people about that too. A lot of people don't know about that. What is?
You know, we
is that
got a
coming up?
finished cut of it, and Larry, the local post office guy,
Mhm.
is in it. And it's so funny because I'm down there every day. I've been sending stuff every day for 40 years. When I had no money and no nothing, I was sending stuff. And then when I got rich, I was sending stuff. And now I don't have any money and I'm still sending stuff. You know, like a joke book, or I meet somebody, you know me. And Larry goes nuts. And he's Larry Levine. He's a Jew. Jews don't work at the post office. Larry Levine works at the post office. And he's in the documentary because he's saying, Larry, you're a local guy. It's so funny that they call Jackie cheap, and meanwhile he's so generous. And Larry says, generous? He sends everything media mail. And I'm like, Larry, you prick, So here's a Jew making fun of me for being cheap, which is just priceless. He's just such a good guy. Just such a good guy.
I never heard of this guy. I did see the incoming piece of the demo for the video that you guys made.
No, but I'll send you it's not finished, but it's kind of done. You should see it.
It looks great. It looks really, really good. Really,
Thanks.
really
It's
cool.
fun. It really is fun.
You know when it's going to be released?
It's ready to go. The only reason they haven't done the final colorizing and sound is in case something earth-shattering happens that we want to put in there. Because the whole idea of doing the documentary was to go from film festival to film festival.
Sure.
And doing the Q&A afterwards. Because the Stern Show people still have endless questions. It's 20 years later, and people never get tired of asking. And even worse, I never get tired of answering because the answers are interesting to me and they're the truth. And, it's so funny. I don't know if sometimes the interviewer will call me up for something and then they'll ask me something. They'll say, well, that's what you said 20 years ago. I'm like, because that's what happened. What do you think? I made it up,
It's interesting though because a lot of people. I was a big Stern fan. I listened to you guys for years, from the '80s all the way through. As a matter of fact, I would actually take. I had a machine. I don't know what you call it. It was a square box. I remember. I still have it somewhere. It's a box. You put cassette tapes in, and it will record things very slowly at a precise time. You could set it. It was an analog machine with analog.
Right. Of course, there were a lot of those.
So you put like a 60-second cassette, and it would tape like 4 hours very slowly. And I would set it to listen to Stern shows back in the PLJ. I don't know, 92, whatever it was back then.
92.3 K-Rock. Yeah, it wasn't terrific audio quality, but it was
all
perfect
right
for hearing back what was going on.
I used to get those tapes and then put them in my car, and then they had a thing that you connected to it that make it go through your system and all this crazy stuff. I used to listen to all this stuff. And, it's so funny now to hear years later that, stories from the past that from the horse's mouth, if you will, because at the time you wouldn't have any clue what was really going on behind those scenes, but now it's confirmation of all the crazy times you guys had. It really was a wonderful show. It really was. Now it's really like Stern, between you and me, he's gone like really mainstream, more it was zany and crazy and funny, and now it's kind of like, not that he doesn't have great interview skills, he's wonderful, but it's more of a
I've never listened to it. I never have, and people actually email me and complain about the show, and I'm like, number one, I don't listen. Number two, I haven't had anything to do with the show in 20 years. And they're like, why doesn't Howard have you on? Or why didn't Howard get funnier? Or why didn't he do this? And it's like, it's not like you get 100 of them. He's making 100 people happy and 2 people are complaining.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, of course. But he is terrific. And it's interesting to see the stories that you guys coming out of there from back in those days. It's really great. I love it. I could sit here all night and talk about those kind of things. Here's another thing, too, I picked up. What the hell's that? Is that supposed to be Bobby?
It's Dave Hawthorne and me and Bob Woods.
I thought so.
This girl, Linda Romano, she's the one that did a lot. She did all my Safe Distance from Genius, all those cartoons and all the caricatures and the characters of me and Richie and everybody. And after King Broder put Eddie Murphy and Bob Nelson and Jim Myers together as the identical triplets. And then Bartlett and Murphy threw Myers out of the trio before a show.
Really?
At my father's place. Before the show, they told him he was out.
Wow.
And that was comfortable. It was Long Island Ha-Ha. It was like me and Epi from my father's place. We were the producers. And so then it became Bob Nelson and Nelson and Murphy threw Myers out so Bartlett could join. So they were the identical triplets. The joke being Eddie's black and they're white, and they're the identical triplets, but they were a big hit. So King Broder figured he was going to make lightning strike twice. So he got the bright idea to put together me and Woods and Hawthorne, the three biggest drunks on the whole comedy circuit. And it wasn't even a comedy circuit yet. And we spent 2 drunken afternoons trying to come up with a name for the group. And I got that list somewhere. And, the one I remember that we didn't use that killed me the most was the 3 must have beers, which is so great. But we were the Rolling Clones. And that was
the Rolling Clones.
And that's who that picture was. Do not feed the comedians, the Rolling Clones.
I love it.
I can't believe I still have that T-shirt. My God, it's 40 years ago.
It's great. A lot of people don't know. When I remember the time I was at your house, you had all those caricatures all over the walls too, of like old cartoons in your home.
And those are most of them are by Linda. Most of them
are they
by
really?
Linda.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They really are. Piece of history, kind of. All right, let's get back to jokes. We're almost out of here. But this is too bad. I got a couple. All right. Well, golf jokes, Jackie.
Well, my favorite is the 4 guys are playing, and the foursome in front of them is so slow, and they're bitching and whining and moaning, and finally the caddy says, "Fellas, the reason the foursome in front of you is so slow is because they're all blind." And one of the guys says, "They couldn't play at night?" Which is just so rude.
I like it with the Jewish accent. That's kind of funny. It's got a good thing. Speaking of, there's a blonde joke like that too. What was the one with the blonde joke? Guy gets on a bus and he's got both of his pants pockets full of golf balls, and he sits down next to a gorgeous blonde. The blonde kept looking at him, and she keeps looking at his bulging pants and keeps looking down his bulging pants, and he finally goes, "Look, it's golf balls." And she goes, "Oh, you poor thing. I bet it hurts a lot worse than tennis elbow."
That's very good. That's very good. The woman hits the ball and it hits the guy, and he's got his hands between his legs and he's screaming.
Right.
And she feels bad and she comes up and she starts rubbing his crotch and rubbing his dick and rubbing his crotch, and she says, "Does that feel better?" And he says, "Yeah, but you hit my thumb."
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not telling that exactly right.
Yeah, it's paraphrasing. I think, if I remember correctly, I think it was, she hits the ball, whacks him, and he grabs his crotch, goes, "Oh!" And he grabs him, and he's rolling on the floor, and she goes, "Let me help you. I'm a therapist." And he goes, No, it's okay. I'm going to be okay. And she walks away. She goes, "Please let me help you." He goes, And she comes over. He puts his hands on his side. She unzips his fly, sticks a hand in there, starts massaging him, and then she goes, "How do you feel now?" And he goes, "Great, but my fucking thumb is killing me." Is that the right way the line went?
Well, it's better because you got her working on him.
She's working on him.
I do. It's a horrible joke. I go crazy looking for jokes to tell on Feldman.
Mm-hmm.
93 times. I've called him 93 times without repeating.
Thank you for sending me the Feldman jokes. They're great, and they're all like bang, bang, bang.
So fun. So this woman has a challenged daughter and sends her to the fish store to buy 2 pounds of mackerel.
Okay.
And the challenged girl goes to the fish store and she says, the guy behind the counter, "You found mackerel." What'd you say? "You found mackerel."
Okay.
This lady, I can't understand what you're saying. She said, "You found mackerel." I don't understand you. So she puts her hand down her pants and rubs her pussy and sticks it under his nose. And he goes, "Holy mackerel!" She said, "Yeah, 2 pounds." Which really makes no sense.
I think it's hilarious, but I'll see you in hell.
Holy mackerel.
That's good, though. I never heard the joke. I love it. I think it's a great joke. I never heard it. I mean, any jokes are good. That's what we do. Here's a classic one too. Newlyweds get back from their honeymoon, and the next day the hubby's getting ready to play golf with his buddies. His wife says, "Hey, She goes, I've been thinking about it. Now that we're married, I don't want you to play golf alone. You know, why don't we play golf together? The husband looks at her and goes, you know, you're starting to sound like my ex-wife. And she goes, you never told me you were married before. He goes, I wasn't.
That's great. That's
By the way,
great.
I heard a joke that you told years ago, and it hit me. And I was like, this is the funniest joke. And I forgot all about it. And it's the little Johnny joke with the in school and how the different ways to have sex. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. All right, class, I want you to go home. And tomorrow I want you to come back with as many ways as you can think of for a man and a woman to make love.
Right.
And next day you're in class, and she says, okay, Mary, how many ways did you come up with for a man and woman to make love? She says, I don't know what that means, teacher. And Johnny's waving his hand and says, I got it. She says, all right, Johnny, how many ways did you come up with? He says, 73. She said, no, okay, John. Harry, how many ways did you come up with for a couple to make love? And Harry says, teacher, I only could think of the one where the simple way where the guy gets on top of the woman. And Johnny goes, 74. That's so great.
It's a great
great
joke. And
so
I forgot all about it. Last week it hit me, and I was like, I wanted to bring it back up to you. I don't know. You must have did it years ago.
Do you remember use the word beautiful in a sentence?
No. Go ahead. I'm still thinking about
says,
holy man.
All right, class, I want you to use the word beautiful in a sentence. Marriage is, teacher, it's really beautiful outside today.
Okay.
Very good, Mary. Eddie, teacher, you are so beautiful. Oh, Eddie, thank you. Johnny, last night at the dinner table, my sister said to my old man, Pop, I'm pregnant. And he said, beautiful. Fucking beautiful.
On that note, we got to go.
I love you, John. We'll come up with a great... Joey Fisher, you should come up with a subject for next week.
Yes, give us a subject next week, Mr. Fisher.
Oh, and listen, Cameo.com, John. I didn't think I was going to make it through tonight because I forgot to charge up my iPad. I've been doing so many of these things. I've been doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of promotion. But like yesterday, I did 3 behind the shed at the golf outing. It's so much fun. I did my first happy anniversary to a gay couple that were married 5 years. I mean, I'm doing all kinds of crazy shit. Cameo.com/Jackie Martling. And if you go to that site and go to my page, you can listen to like 5 or 6 old ones. You can steal 30 jokes off of there. You don't even need to get one.
Page.
You know,
that's where you go. Cameo.com/Jackie Martling. We'll be back next week. If you want me, I'm at johnpeasy.com, JPZENT. And if you're having a good time, please tell us in the comments. Please share. Our music is by Ben Sound, and I don't claim any ownership or any of this stuff in these videos or medias as well. And Jackie, we'll see you next week at 8 o'clock. That's good. You look good. See you next week. Thank you, Danny.
I love you, brother.
Love you's back. Ciao for now.